So this morning's class, we're going to start in a seated position. I'm going to take hero's pose, as it's known in its English translation. So I'm going to use the block because my knees are a little bit tight. You could use more than one block if your knees are very tight. You want to bring the knees together, take the heels wide, and sit back onto the block so that your sitting bones are actually resting on a surface. You don't want to be just hanging around in the air. That would be too much strain on the joints. When we first come in, these thighs are going to be a little bit tight, so the calves, they're going to be kind of tough as old bits of wood, but they will soften up gradually. We're going to allow ourselves to just have the hands on the sides and breathe. And try and find that point where we can lift up out of the pelvis in a very neutral position. Relax the shoulders back. Now you might well find this bit of a strain through the ankle joints and across the top of the foot as your toes are pointing backwards. It's kind of supposed to feel like that. So you should start to feel the legs kind of softening off a little bit. Maybe getting a sense of just dropping a little deeper into the pose. We'll only be here for a couple of minutes in total. We're trying to avoid stopping the blood flowing through the legs completely. We'll take our last exhale. On the inhale, we're going to lift up and allow the hands to come forward. Knees come out wide, toes come together. We'll move the block out to the side. We're going to keep the toes tucked under and sit on the heels basically. And come into child's pose, just walking the hands out. So it's a very active child's pose. I want to press the hands into the floor, draw the belly in, and squeeze the tailbone towards the back of the mat a little bit. So just trying to get this very long feeling in the spine. Breathing into the side edges of the ribs. I'm feeling like the muscles are doing the work to hold me up in the shoulders, and the hands and the arms. You can rest your head against the ground. I tend to avoid that a little bit because I have glasses on and they dig in. So if you have glasses, you'll know what I mean. Allow yourself to use the fullness of your diaphragm. Breathe deep into that belly. And notice as you take these slow, longer breaths that you can feel the muscles kind of sliding around in your back and stretching gradually with your breath. And we'll lift up, start to walk the hands in. We'll bring the knees back underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. Boot laces down this time. You can tap out the legs a little bit if that feels like it brings the feeling back into the feet and the legs a little more. And then we'll move into cat-cow. So just rolling the chest forwards and the tailbone up towards the sky. On the exhale, tilting the pelvis, drawing the belly to the spine, and lifting the ribs to the ceiling. Inhaling, we come through. And exhaling, just rolling gently back out. Now your breath might be slower or longer than mine or faster. As long as you're working with your own breath, that's the important guidance here. We try not to pull the head too far back. So we're avoiding looking towards the ceiling, we're just looking along the floor. flexion in towards the chest a little bit to help round through the back of the shoulders, and exhale up towards the sky. Press a little into the shins as well as the hands. We'll come back into neutral position and let the hands come in towards the front of the mat. As we lean over the wrists, take the toes and take the knees away from the floor, and lift into our down dog. Some people like to move around in their down dog. Some people like to be still. Some people take some very big bends in their knees so they can stretch their spine out a little bit more, lifting it up towards the sky. Some people like to work into the hamstrings. Some people like to do a bit of everything. It's up to just follow your instincts and see what your body needs this morning, rather than just falling into a regular habit. Do try to keep the hands flat to the floor. Drawing the belly in, lifting the hips high. We press the heels lightly towards the back of the mat. Yawning this morning. Okay, we're going to take a breath forwards into a plank. Keep the legs strong, pressing out through the heels. And with control, we're going to lower the hips towards the ground, keeping the legs straight. So you're going to feel the stretch through the shoulders and through the spine. And when you get to the point where it starts to get a little bit crunchy in your back, just before then, untuck your toes, let your knees come to the floor. And then on the exhale, bend your elbows back. Bring your chest down to the floor. So we're just going to allow ourselves to have the hands a little bit lower, shifting down towards the bottom of the ribs so the elbows are high. We'll take the feet out wider than the shoulders and roll the heels out a little bit. On the inhale, we use the whole of the breath to lift into a low cobra. So we're just keeping the bottom rib on the ground and exhaling back. That little bit of connection. Inhaling, you'll find that your diaphragm expands, and that helps with the lift as well. And exhaling down. We want to see if we can move continuously, however tiny those movements might be. So we're not really stopping. And the breath is also doing the same, so either in or it's out. So it's not quite a natural breath where there's that little bit of a pause. Just starting to feel those back muscles starting to work. And we're going to take that into a serpentine cobra. Get the words right. Going to lift the right shoulder, then the chest, then the left shoulder. Allow the right shoulder to drop down. Chest comes to the floor and the left shoulder follows down to the ground. And then you lift the left shoulder up and reverse it up. So you lift the chest, roll the right shoulder back, start to let the left down, chest comes to the floor and into the ground. It takes a little bit of time to get that to look smooth and feel confident about the moves. There's quite a strong use of the back muscles. We're not really using the arms at all, although we are drawing the shoulder blades back, not pressing down. So it's what I would call a highly integrated movement. There's a lot of going on there, keeping the legs flat to the floor. We'll come up for a last time. we'll take a little breath, press into the floor and lift ourselves away from the ground. We'll bring the knees forwards and spin the feet out to the side. Allow ourselves to lengthen out towards the back of the mat. So knees are high, hands behind, chin towards the chest. Roll the spine gently down to the floor. Going to lengthen both legs out down the mat so the feet are together. Legs will have a little wriggle through the spine, the hips and the shoulders to get yourself as flat to the floor as you can. And then we'll draw the left knee in and take the hands around the shin. I'm going to use the arms a little bit to draw the knee towards me. And I'm going to press out through the heel of the right leg. Pressing the heel away, the calf down. I'm just rotating the thigh in very slightly to the center line, so my toes, which are flexed, went up towards the sky rather than twisting the ankle. Release the left leg and slide the heel along the ground, leg by leg. Just notice how that feels through my hip flexors and my lower back. And then draw the opposite leg in. Put the hands around the shin again and start to use the arms a little bit. As I work through the leg, toes point to the sky, the thigh rolls in. Heel presses out, calf presses down very lightly. Try to get the longest left leg we can manage. Now I'm going to let the feet drop to the floor close to my bottom. And I'm going to have the feet about hip distance apart, knees directly above. I want to get as close to feeling that the shins are vertical to each other. Excuse me. And turning the heels out a little bit as well. So, a little shift in the tailbone area to get the spine very flat to the floor before I bring the hands alongside the body. You need to make sure that you've got plenty of room behind you, as we'll be laying your hands down towards the back of the mat in a minute. We'll take a little breath, draw the belly in and lift our way up into bridge pose. So we're going to take the tailbone up towards the sky. Try to keep the thighs parallel to each other, evenly through both feet. And just bring the hips up in line with the knees, finding that line between the shoulder. And then take the hands up towards the sky as you breathe in. And use your exhale to let your hands drift to the floor behind you. So you might need to take them out a little wider to get the arms to actually rest on the floor. And then we're going to start to lower the hips back down to the floor and roll the spine gently down to the ground, leaving the hands behind. It can get a little bit sticky in certain parts of your back as you do this. That's natural if you're feeling that. Inhale the hands up and roll them back down on the exhale to the side of your body. So we're just going to do that a few more times. And each time we exhale and tuck the tailbone up and lift up, we'll get just that little bit higher. And to help with this time, we're going to press the knees towards the front of the mat. That will lift the hips a little higher as well. We'll draw the hands high on the breath in. And use the exhale to ease the hands down to the floor behind. Take a breath and roll your spine very gradually, bone by bone. On that one long breath, keeping the belly drawn in and tailbone eventually comes to the floor. And we inhale, hands up, and bring ourselves back down, hands alongside the body. We'll take another one of those. Tailbone starts to lift on the exhale. We lift high by pressing pressing the knees forwards and the feet down. We'll draw the chest a little more towards the chin to open the ribs out. And inhale the hands high and exhale them to the floor. Take a breath. Roll the spine down again. Now, hopefully, those little stiff places in your spine, which maybe are on the same place on both sides, or maybe just on one side, it could be all over the place. It's starting to get to feel like we're running a little more smoothly. Let's come up for the last time. So exhaling, lifting up, knees press forwards, thighs stay parallel, feet feel like there's even pressure all the way through the sides. Draw the chest towards the chin. Try to feel that you're lifting your buttocks to the sky as well. Inhale the hands high. Roll the hands down on the exhale behind you. Keep lifting the chest, hips, buttocks as you breathe in. And then use your exhale to come back down again from that highest version of bridge pose that we could manage. Now we're going to let the hands come out to the side in a kind of scarecrow shape, palms facing up. And then just ease the feet gently in towards the center line of the mat. Bring the feet a little closer in towards you. We'll shimmy the hips towards the left and let the legs roll over and down towards the right. And we're going to do our best to keep the shoulders on the ground and keep them very soft. The more you shimmy the hips, the easier it is to rotate over. And we're going to see if we can let the bottom leg sit down onto the floor. So we want this to be a passive stretch, so we're trying to relax everything down and just really allow body weight and a little bit of time to do its magic. So try to visualize and feel the muscles between your shoulder blades and just a little bit lower, and see if you can soften them off, assuming that there might be some tightness there. And now lift the legs up and shimmy the hips through the center and across to the right side. And then let the legs go down slowly on the exhale. Again, we'll try and relax the legs fully, including the ankles and toes. And then focus on that little space behind your heart. And let it soften into the ground. I'm going to bring the right hand onto the chest. Roll slowly over towards my left side. Use the hands to press down into the floor. Lift myself slowly back up. Let's spin the feet towards the back of the mat, so coming hands to the front. Allow myself to lift up onto all fours. Take a couple of rounds of cat-cow, literally just a couple. See how the spine feels. And then I'm going to circle the ribs around, so make a barreling motion from side to side. I'm going to take that a couple of times in one direction, and then a couple of times in the opposite direction. Appreciating that my spine and the rest of my body feels very different in the morning to how it does in an evening class. Come back to neutral, tuck the toes underneath, and lift myself into down dog. And then make the feet about hip distance apart, parallel to each other, and then walk the hands in slowly towards the toes. So coming into my first forward bend. Bring the hands onto the hips, soften the knees, flat back to lift up. Put the hands high. Inhale, above the head, bring the hands through the heart. Soften over the front thighs, a little bit of softness in the knees, weight into the toes, fingers to the floor. Hands onto the hips, into the body forwards, my way back up. I'll take 3 of these all together. Inhale high, hands through the heart. Soften the knees as much as you need to. Hands onto the hips. A little lift. Inhaling high. And a final time coming in. Allow yourself to walk your fingers towards the front of the mat into a down dog position with the hands as far forward as you can. And then up onto the tippy toes, taking small steps, a few inches at a time. With the legs straight, we walk in towards the front of the mat. So just inching our way in, taking a little bit more strain into the wrists and the shoulders, pressing down through the hands and lifting the hips as high as you can. Just watching the feet walk in. And eventually lifting up onto the fingertips to walk into that final piece of the puzzle, front of the mat. Hands onto the hips, allow ourselves to lift up. We'll take the hands high as we breathe in. Bring the hands through the heart. Hinge at the hips, down to the floor. We'll take a breath and send the right foot to the back of the mat into lunge. Take a breath there and drop the back heel down. So heel is further away than the toes. Bring the hands alongside the body. Take the right arm forwards. Press down through that front thigh and shin to lift into our warrior 2. And press firmly down through both legs and feet into the floor, drawing the tummy muscles in a little. Relaxing out through the shoulders into the fingertips. Inhale the hands high. Rotate out towards the front of the mat. Bring the hands down. Step it back into down dog. We'll come forwards into plank. We're going to take the half plank and then up dog. Bring the knees to the floor in the first couple of rounds if you need to, just to warm your body up. Or if you just need that to be safe in your own body. Moving back into your down dog. We'll scissor the right leg high. Draw the knee in towards the chest and bring the foot through for lunge. Onto the fingertips, relax the shoulders and press out through the back leg. Take a breath, push off the toes into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips, let ourselves lift up the soft knees and flat backs. Inhale high, we'll take that to the opposite side. Exhaling down. Taking the breath, left foot goes back into lunge. Onto the fingertips, press out through the heel. Drop that heel then onto the floor. Bring the hands alongside your body. Slowly take the left arm, drive through that right leg to lift up. Rotate the hands high again. Rotate towards the front of the mat and down to the floor. Step back into a down dog. Come forwards into the plank. Exhale into that half plank. Inhale on the up dog. Roll over the feet or step to down dog. Scissor the left leg high. And draw the knee in towards the chest and bring the foot through, lunge. And press off the toes into that slow forward bend. Hands onto the hips, lift up. Inhale high, hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take a breath, send the right foot back into lunge. Lowering the right hand to the floor, we take a twist. Left arm lifts. And roll the shoulder up and over if we can. Bring the hands down to the floor. Come onto the fingertips and take a breath. Drop the back heel in for your warrior two. Take the hand on the right forwards and lift up. Inhale high. Lengthen slowly out towards the front of the mat, down to the floor. Step back into our down dog. And slowly move into the plank as we breathe in. Half plank, shoulders back, elbows in. Strong legs. Up dog. Lift the chest. Roll over the toes to your down dog. Here's your right leg high. Keeping the shoulders and the hips square to the floor. Knee in towards the body. Through for the lunge. Take a breath. Push forwards into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips and lift. Second side, taking the twist again. Hands through the heart. Exhaling down. Breath in. Left leg back. Left hand to the floor. Right arm opens up. Bring the hands down to the ground. Drop the back heel in. Hands alongside the body to lift. And open. Inhale the hands high. Now towards the front of the mat and down to the floor. Step back to down dog. Forwards to the plank. Half plank. Up dog. Down dog. Here's the left leg. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Bring your foot through for your lunge. Stepping into the forward bend. Hands on the hips, soften the knees, and we lift up slowly. We'll inhale high. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Taking a breath. Right foot to the back of the mat into lunge. Right hand to the floor, twist. Left arm ups. Breathe in. Hands come down to the ground, onto the fingertips to breathe. Drop the back heel, ready for warrior two, hands alongside the body. Inhale high, warrior two. Take the hands high. This time we're going to spin the hips as well as the chest and spin onto the ball of the back foot. We'll lift up and then lengthen out down to the floor. Step back into our down dog, adjusting as you need to. Bring the hands, bring yourself into plank. Half plank and up dog. And I was trying to say, make sure your hands are square to the front of the mat. I just fluffed it up a little bit. Back into down dog. Scissor the right leg high. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Bring your foot through. Take a breath. Step into your forward bend. Hands onto the hips. Self lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take a breath. Left foot back. Allow yourself to plant the left hand. Right arm for the twist. Come back down to the floor. Fingertips to the left. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside the body and lift. Warrior two. Inhale high. We turn slowly into a high crest. There's a little pause. And we lift up a little bit more through the chest and the arms and the spine. And then lengthen out slowly, deliberately to the front of the mat. Stepping back into our down dog. Come forwards into the plank. Align your hands. Just say that better that time. Inhale up. And roll it back into our down dog. And we'll scissor the left leg high. Square shoulders and hips. Knees into the chest and foot through. Take a breath. And push off the toes into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. You take a breath. Right foot to the back of the mat. Right hand to the ground. Left arm lifts for the twist. Breathe in. Hands come to the floor. Fingertips for a breath and a lift. Drop the heel in. Warrior two. Hands alongside. Float, cartwheel up. Take a breath. Hands come high. We rotate into the high crescent. On this time, we'll bring the hands in towards the heart. Elbows out wide. Take a breath in to cross over towards the left side of the mat. On the exhale, allow the elbow to come to the outside of that front thigh. Press out through the back heel. Press the heel of the hands together to lift the chest and breathe. Bring the hands to the floor. Step it back into that down dog. Travel into plank, breath in. Strong legs, elbows in, shoulders back. Lift the up dog. Roll it into down dog. Over the right leg high. Draw the knee in. Bring the foot through. Lunging into forward bends. And over the hips and the lift up. Inhale high. Last side. Hand through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Left leg back into the lunge. Left hand to the floor. Right arm lifts for the twist. Hands come to the ground. Fingertips. Drop the back heel in. Hands alongside the body. Allow yourself to lift. Inhale the hands high and rotate into that high crescent. Take the breath. Bring the hands in towards your heart. As you inhale, rotate gently to your right. On the exhale, forwards. Allow yourself to work out through the legs. Lifting the chest. Pressing the hands together. And breathe. Now look into the big toe on the front foot. Key things to make sure your front foot is pointing forwards, help with balance. And look into the floor just directly ahead can be the easiest option for your balance to be maintained. Looking to the side is harder, and looking to the sky is harder than that. Last breath in. Bring the hands to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. Come forwards into the plank. Half plank. Up dog. Roll it over to down dog. Scissor the left leg. Pull the knee in towards the chest and through. Take a breath, push into the forward fold. Hands under the hips, let yourself lift. Inhale high, bring the hands into the heart, close the eyes. Allow ourselves to press the feet down into the floor and spread those toes out wide. Connect to the ground. We'll open the eyes. Float the arms high. Hands into the heart. Hinge at the hips, soft knees, down to the floor we go. As we arrive, we'll take a breath and send the right foot to the back of the mat into lunge. And drop the heel to the center line for warrior two. And hands alongside the body and lift slowly up. Use the exhale to travel. As you arrive, turn the palm on the front hand and take your rear hand behind you and feed your fingers towards your front thigh. Now, if you're not able to get your fingers onto your front thigh, just use the back of your shorts, the trousers. And then inhale the front arm up towards the sky. Take a breath. And as you exhale, extend up and over towards the back of the mat. And come forwards again. Take a breath. Keep the hand where it was. Extend out over the front thigh. Forearm comes on to the inside of the thigh. We'll take a little breath. Allow ourselves to slide the hand down towards the floor. Try to keep the chest open to that long side of the mat. And hopefully your fingers are still on the front thigh. Now we'll press away from the floor on the exhale to lift back up into our warrior two. Straighten the front leg slowly as we breathe in. Move the hips towards the back of the mat a little bit. Allow ourselves to lengthen out into triangle pose. I'm going to bring one hand down on the inside of the shin, and one hand high. Rotate the chest round fully. We'll soften the front knee and lift up into our warrior two. Take the hands high and bring them down onto the inside of this front leg. Spin the back heel. Press out through that leg. Squeeze the front thigh and knee in towards the back of the arm on this front side. From here, we will walk the fingers around to the long side of the mat, turning the toes in. And on the exhale, hinge at the hips down to the ground into your wide leg forward bend. Yourself to have a little bend in the knees. Think of mercy a little bit as you come into these poses sometimes. Press the feet down if you're able to, and the tailbone up. You feel your tummy muscles lift and your tailbone moves slightly. And then lift your way back up halfway. Walk your fingers around to the front of the mat. Come back in into the lunge. Take a breath and we'll step into the forward bend. Bring the hands under the hips. Let ourselves lift. Inhale high and through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take a breath. Bend the left leg back. Drop the heel in, ready for warrior two, the lift. Allow yourself to come up. Turn the palm on the front hand. feed your rear hand around towards that front thigh. Lift the hand up as you breathe in, and use your exhale to extend out towards the front of the mat. Sorry, the back of the mat. Use your way back. Allow yourself to extend out. Back hand is still wrapped around into bind. Forearm comes onto the thigh as we start to get ready for the extended side angle. Take a breath, and then feed the hands slowly down to the floor if you can. Lift the chest as much as you can. Roll the chest round towards the sky, pressing a little into the back foot. And a final lift into warrior two. Straightening the front leg. Hips go back. Triangle pose, second side. Just lengthen out slowly. Use your way in. Stay higher in the pose. So there's a little bit more lift in the body rather than hanging. And start from the front knee to warrior two. Hands come high, down onto the inside of this front leg. Lift the back heel into tiger pose. Press out through the leg. The muscles in the thigh and the back leg will feel like they're fully engaged. And we just draw the knee lightly into the back of the arm. Keep the belly drawn in, head in line with the body. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears as they hunched around a little bit as you came down. Last breath here. Move the fingers to the long sides of the mat. Allow ourselves to take a breath in the higher position, turning the toes in. And then we're just going to turn the fingers towards the opposite side of the mat. So the thumbs are out, and we'll walk the hands through and under. And attempt to get the hands flat to the floor. And just hang over the hips. I'm just playing with the weight distribution a little bit more in the body. And a slightly more contorted version. Try and keep the shoulders away from the ears a little bit. Spread them out. Have some space to breathe into. Last breath in. Allow the hands to walk forwards. Lift up that halfway point, and then walk the fingers around carefully into the front of the mat. We'll step back into down dog though this time. Come forwards into plank. Half plank and up. Rolling it back into our down dog. We'll scissor the right leg. Draw the knee towards the chest and bring the foot through. Bring the hands alongside the body. Allow yourself to lift up into your high crescent. Take a breath in, bring the hands in towards your heart. Move forwards, lift into warrior three. Soften the front knee, back into the lunge. Take a breath, step back into down dog. I'll draw the left leg scissors high to the sky, knee in towards the chest and foot through. Lunging again. Bring the hands alongside the body. Float the arms forwards and lift into that high crescent. Hands in towards your heart. Lean forwards. Push off. Warrior three. Just lifting up gently. Try to keep the hips as square to the ground as you can. We'll soften the front knee back into the lunge. Fingers to the floor, step back into your down dog. Bring your toes together on the mat at the back and down dog. And draw your right knee in towards your chest. Take your knee to the outside of your right elbow. Swing the heel underneath. And the groins to come down. And walk slowly the back leg away into pigeon pose. Draw the tummy muscles in and send your tailbone down as you lift up into the fingertips to try to keep it light as possible. Still lengthen out through the back leg. Press the shin down a little bit. Square the hips towards the front of the mat if you need to. So you might need to have a little bit of feeling of pulling one hip forwards and one hip back. Okay, step it back into the down dog with the toes together on the back of the mat. And we'll draw the left knee in towards the body and take the knee to the outside of the elbow. Swing the heel over, down into our pigeon pose and walk forwards. Now I'm just going to move the block towards the front of the mat as well, just out of the way because we'll be coming into flip dog in a minute from a down dog position. Just make sure there's nothing to trip over. Again, lifting arms to the fingertips, squaring the hips a little bit, pressing the tailbone down to help with the lift. Hands to the floor, tuck the toes, back into down dog. But this down dog's going to be the regular version with the hips and feet the same distance. We'll take a little breath, allow ourselves to scissor the right leg high. We'll bend the knee so the heel comes in towards the bottom. Lift the knee a little higher as you start to open the hips to the side a fraction. Begin to spin slowly on the left foot, taking it over towards the left side. Starting to bring the right foot down behind into the floor and letting ourselves open up into a flip dog. We'll come back the same way. So we'll try to pivot on the foot, lengthen the leg out into the scissors, square the hips, and bring ourselves back into dog. We'll take a breath and lift the left leg into the scissor. We'll bend the knee and then lift the leg higher to open the hip out a little. Start to slowly pivot on your right foot, taking the foot over towards the right. Allow yourself to ease down and open up into the flip dog. We'll take a breath and see if we can pivot back in. Draw the knee down to, foot down to the floor as the knee comes in. Take a little breath and finally down to the floor for a child's pose. Whew. And we come forwards, elbows to the floor, the Sphinx pose. So just easing the legs back gently. Now you can use the block landscape shaped and just have your thumbs on the side closest to you and then your index finger down the outside edges, the palms flat to the floor. And then you've got a nice distance to work with, and you can keep your elbows in parallel for those forearms. Lift the chest a little, spread the shoulders out, draw the belly in, press the thighs down, and roll the heels out. come down a little lower, but we'll take the hands out off of the mat and onto the fingertips for gecko pose. So this time the elbows are high, pressing to the floor with the fingers on the exhale to lift up. And take ourselves as high as comfortable. Inhale on the way down. Exhale, way up. Inhale, down. Coming up for 3. Lengthen the spine up out of the pelvis. I feel those buttocks working quite hard at that point. 4. We've got 5. As you arrive, bring your hands underneath your chin. Allow yourself to bend your left knee and bring your heel towards your bottom. Take your left hand back and slide the palm to the bootlaces side. Press the hips into the floor, knee away. And allow yourself to use the strength of your hand a little bit to help ease your heel to your sitting bone. Try to keep the thighs parallel as well. And we'll release. We'll take it to the second side. Elbows high, shoulders drawn back a little bit. Shoulders are square to the ground. Press the thigh down and lengthen the knee away. Get that much bigger stretch feeling in the thigh when you do that. And then we can release from there as well. And we'll just wriggle out the hips a little bit and the shoulders, side to side. And then from here, we're going to slowly just rotate the body onto our backs. So you can keep your head the same end of the mat. I'm going to change ends just purely to allow me to see the clock. But it's actually better if you can just rotate fully onto your spine. It's easier for your back. And that's what we're looking for. And we're coming into Shavasana, so we'll take the feet out towards the outside edges of the mat and let the toes relax out to the side. Going to wriggle the hips out a few times and the shoulders, allow the spine to get nice and long. And although I'm using the block underneath my head, that's personal preference more than a suggestion. If you are using it, make sure it's not pressing into your neck or your shoulders. Let the hands come out to the side about a good ruler's distance from your body. So there's a little space for the air to move around your warm body and cool you down a little bit. Allow yourself to lick your lips a few times as you're taking the last little wriggles through fingers and toes. Allow the muscles to relax in your face. If you struggle with that, then just allow yourself to smile. Happy with either. And then we're going to slow that breath down. Hopefully it's already started to slow down, but we can work on just following the breath with our mind, watching it come into the body, and then observing the feelings of relaxation and release as we exhale. And begin to stretch those fingers and toes gently, breathing in a little deeper, connecting the nervous system, the breath and the mind. Let the wrists and the ankles begin to move. Allow our awareness to fully appreciate where we are. Take a breath in and use the exhale to stretch in any way that is meaningful to us. And carefully bring your hands alongside your body. Slide one heel at a time along the mat. Let the knees come in towards your body for the gentlest of hugs. You really don't want to be working the muscles anymore, they've done enough. Maybe just the gentlest of rocking with your breath or circling the knees a tiny amount. And when you're ready, we'll roll carefully onto the right side, keeping the knees in towards the body. Take a breath, turn your chest to the floor and use your hands on the exhale to lift quietly and gently back up to sitting. We'll take an easy posture to sit in, something that's comfortable for you. Let the hands come into your heart. As you close your eyes, sitting tall, take a longer breath in. In your exhale, gently, letting your chin drop, finding your belly drawn to your spine. Let a simple bow form to seal your practice. As the breath comes back into your body, let it go to your spine. Let your head follow, your eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Hope to see you on the mat again soon.